Hey everyone, it's Matt here. Oh, there's a bug, a fly. It's a very Australian thing to have flies bugging around. Flies bugging around, flies buzzing around. Flies, I don't know. Hello, it is Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. You will have noticed by now that it is a recurring theme that I never really know what day it is. Pretty sure it's Wednesday. I have an excuse, this whole virus thing, who knows what day it is anymore. So today is story time. Today we're going to do a story time. Coffee, hang on. Today we're going to do a story time. But this one is a little bit different. And I'm not sure how this is going to go. But, we try things on here. That's what we do, whether they work or not. So, I have a short story that I wrote when I was in year 6. Okay. Now, some of you will have heard me talk about this story because one of my teachers made me stand up in front of the entire assembly and read this story to everyone. My goal when I'd been writing it in class had been to make it as funny as I possibly could. And so I had to read it in front of the whole assembly, and people laughed, and I thought that was pretty awesome, and that kind of got me on this whole bent of funny stories. Now, my teacher, one of my teachers at that time, not only did she type it up for me, because I didn't have a computer when I was a kid, not only did she type it up for me, she kept it. She kept the printout, this printout, for 25 years, okay, and then gave it back to me. Isn't that crazy? 25 years she kept this piece of paper with my story on it. Now, she gave it back to me, which was amazing, and her name's Mrs. O, and she is just incredible. Anyway, I've not read it since she gave it back to me. And I know that might sound unbelievable because she gave it back to me a bit over a year ago. But it's just sat in a drawer, and I haven't read it. And then I thought, you know what, today, it would be kind of cool, I think, to read you, for our story time today, to read you my funny short story. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if it's actually going to be that funny. Because I don't know, because I haven't checked it. I wrote this when I was 11 years old, okay? So I'm going to read it to you, and we're going to see how it goes. Sound all right? All right, so get comfy. I've got to take it out of this. I feel like it's going to disintegrate when I pull it out of the plastic sleeve. Okay, it's this long. It's one page and then another page. That's it. Okay, that's the whole story. All right, let's see how we go. This story is, about 25 years old. Okay, the story is called The Dog. The Dog. A dog is a very interesting specimen. I don't know why they say they're man's best friend. Most are saliva drippers, doggy doers, and lovely lickers. Some are ferocious little snappers. But I must warn you, those ones, their ferocious bark is worse than their ripping bite. But I must acknowledge, some are quite nice little things. Mind you, they're not all little. The dog next door is one of those dogs that barks so bad and so long that he must get constant sore throats. It's a large Alsatian that sits next to the fence barking at every fly that goes by. There is a sign on the gate, beware of dog. It doesn't really need the sign because you can hear the dog a mile away. I once had a very nasty experience with this dog. I had been practicing my baseball when I hit the ball. Oh, it's a baseball. I've been telling everyone this was about soccer. There you go. I'll have to change that. It was a baseball. I'd been practicing my baseball when I hit the ball over the fence into the yard containing the dog. It was my new incredible soft touch too. I'd got it for Christmas from my next door neighbours on the other side. I had to get it back. But what was better, your life or your ball? Wait, is that exactly a trick question? but I had to do something. After half an hour and 35 seconds, I came to a decision. I had to get the ball back, even if it meant risking my life. If I made it out, I might become a local hero. That is, if I made it out. I started to think how to do it. My mind began to tick. The wheels in my head started turning as I began to devise a plan. That night at 10 p.m., this story is so different to how I remember it. Okay, cool. That night at 10 p.m., I snuck out of the house carrying my equipment, a torch, a rope, and a shovel. On my head, I wore a fedora. Okay, so that's like I don't know if you guys know Indiana Jones, right? But Indiana Jones used to wear a fedora. So it's kind of like an akubra, kind of like a cowboy hat. No, it's not even. It's more like the sort of hat that a Colombian drug lord might wear. Anyway, I don't know why I'm wearing a fedora. I'm wearing a fedora. On my head, I wore a fedora and had a jacket. And that stuff like they do in the movies. I crept silently but swiftly up to the fence through the gloom, tying the shovel, the torch, and the rope to my belt. I climbed over the fence, landing face first in the dirt on the other side. Hang on, if I had a shovel, I thought I was going to dig under the fence. I seriously have no memory of what happens in this story now. I thought something else happened, but maybe it doesn't. Oh man, this is so strange. Okay, I'll keep going. I got up and looked around. The dog was asleep over the other side of the garden. I shouldn't really say garden, as all it was dirt. Its front paws lying on top of my baseball. Steam coming from its nostrils like a dragon, and the past day's worth of saliva on its mouth. It was a rather disgusting sight. As I looked at my ball, I realized that this wasn't going to be the simple snatch and grab. It wasn't going to be the simple snatch and grab that I'd thought. I snuck forward until I was face to face with the great Alsatian. I could feel its breath on my cheeks. It was now or never. I grabbed the ball from under its paws. Instantly, it was awake and on my tail as I ran across the dirt. The dog was barking like mad, and I was screaming like mad. I looked at the giant fence ahead of me. I was never very good at high jump, but I had to give it my best shot now. I jumped. Why do I have a shovel? Why do I have a shovel? Anyway, I was never very good at high jump, but I had to give it my best shot now. I jumped. I went flying. I landed with a thud, but not where I wanted to be. I was now lying flat across the top of the fence. But as you know, the fence was very thin, and I wasn't going to stay there long, I could tell. And so if I fell, I could land on the dog's side of the fence or on my side of the fence. So let me note my present situation. 1, I'm on top of the fence and the top's cutting into my belly. And 2, the dog is ripping my pant legs to shreds. So after careful thought, I managed to get the answer. After careful thought, I managed to get the answer to these 2 questions. The answer to number 2 is to put your legs on the other side of the fence. The answer to number 1 is, get off the fence! So I did both. And that is how I now find myself lying, sprawled across the grass of our backyard. Filthy, saliva-covered ball in my right hand. The end. That is so weird. Okay, so that was my story I wrote when I was 11. Here's what's weird. My memory had completely changed that story. So I've been telling people for the last couple of years, when I visit kids in schools, I've been telling you guys that in the story, I got stuck on top of the fence, and that then I fell off into the fence, into the neighbour's backyard with the dog, but my pants stayed on the fence, and I was running around the backyard in my undies being chased by the saliva-covered dog. But I've completely made that up. It's not in the story at all. Huh. I mean, I quite like that idea. Aren't our minds, like, seriously crazy? Like, amazing. Like, you can use your imagination to make up ideas. You can also use your imagination to make up memories and to rewrite stories in your head and make them funnier. Because actually, the running around in the undies idea is much funnier. The other thing to note about that story is that there is a movie called The Sandlot Kids. And in The Sandlot, it's just called The Sandlot, I think, The Sandlot. It's about a bunch of friends that play baseball and a dog that steals their ball. And I realised much later, especially thanks to a particular friend of mine who kept reminding me, that my story, this one, the dog, was remarkably similar to some aspects of that movie. And I hadn't done that on purpose either. Like, I really, really hadn't. I hadn't tried to copy the movie, but clearly ideas from the movie were stuck inside my imagination, in my head somewhere, and they came out in my stories. I don't know if you ever find that happens for you. So, I think, like, our imaginations, they're so complex and so interesting. And you can come up with so many different kinds of things. So I would encourage you to write a story today. Why don't you write a story? Why don't you make something up? Why don't you try and make it funny? Why don't you... I wonder if you guys like story starters. Should we do story starters one day? Which is like where I give you like the first line of the story. We could do that. For now, just go and make something up. Go and make up a story. You could write a story about a dog next door. If you want a story starter, write a story about a dog next door, but it's got to be different to my story. Okay, so the dog doesn't have to be scary. Maybe the dog's something else. Maybe the dog breaks into your backyard. Maybe make friends with the dog. You can do whatever you like. Story starter is the dog next door. But hey, thank you for listening to my story. I hope that was an interesting kind of story time. It was certainly interesting for me, and now it's kind of done my head in. But probably good that I have read my story now, and that I can start saying the truth when I visit schools. Cool. Well, I actually have a whole bunch of like actual work to get done today. I'm just trying to send a couple of books to the printer, which I'll tell you about later. But I'm going to get back to work. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you back here tomorrow. All right, cool. See you guys. Bye.